March Madness cuts, draft picks in the mix. From backyard duels to pro-level tricks. Trivia drop slick like a half-court swish. Serving up the scoop like your favorite dish. Sports ball grinder, no pressure applied. Talking game-breaking plays where legends collide. For the diehards, the rookies, the clueless, and the wise. Sports served fresh, no suit, no ties.
All right, welcome into a weekend edition of the Sports Ball Grinder. Coming to you on Saturday here. We wanted to get the round of 64 over in the first bit of the NCAA tournament. Lots to talk about there as we head into the round of 32. We'll hit a little NFL notes here, get you out of here with some other highlights throughout the sports weekend. Have you been enjoying the brackets? Your bracket's not really busted until your champion's done, so don't get too caught up in that. They throw out, only 99% of people missed all this because there's been random upsets. That happens, it goes around. Let's get into some of the notes from first round, though, things we noticed. I mean, the big story, obviously, the ACC. What is it, as the kids say? They're crashing out. Duke advances, no shock there. They blow out Mount St. Mary's, but everybody else from the conference, not so great. Creighton drop-kicked Louisville into the goalposts of life. Now, that's a 9 over an 8. Don't get too messed up about that. It's not really an upset. There's not much of a difference between an 8-9 and a 7-10. Like, they're really not that far apart from each other. But Creighton took them to the shed and left them for dead back there. Beat them 89-75. I'm sorry, Creighton. I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with your game. And if Auburn plays the Creighton team the way they played the first half against Alabama State, that's going to be not a good day. But I have a feeling Auburn found some motivation there finally. We'll see. Louisville, not great. That did not go as planned. As you can see, that was not their best effort. And really a little bit of a shock. A lot of people thought they could even make a run in the tournament maybe, but not going to be this time around. That's for certain. Clemson also. Wow, that was not the kind of basketball you want to see. McNeese State. A lot of people had that one circled as like, okay, this is your classic 5-12 upset. McNeese is good. Will Wade's a great coach. But the news came out that he's going to NC State after the season's over. He told his guys, hey, I'm moving on. Probably going to take a couple of them with him because that's the era of sports we live in now. And all they went out there and did was play incredibly motivated. They held Clemson to 13 points in the first half. Now, credit to Clemson. They ended up scoring 67. So they dropped 50 on them in the second half. They came back and played. It turned out to be a 2-point game. But McNeese State beating them when Clemson was a 5 seed is not a good look for the conference. Between Louisville and Clemson, they were a combined 30-4. 30-4 in ACC play this year. And they're both gone after one round. Ouch. Now, Louisville can't really claim this. Clemson can always fall back on we're a football school. Okay. It's a cheap excuse, but sure, we'll let that ride this time. Louisville, while you have a football team, and they have been okay from time to time, you cannot claim that. Basketball is your thing. Your state is all about basketball. It's Kentucky, for goodness sakes. And they just laid a big nothing burger out there. Ouch. Not good. It wasn't all bad for the ACC. Duke smashed Mount St. Mary's, like we said. So they're good. They're really good. The odds-on favorite to win the tournament. We know why. And North Carolina, after playing a play-in game where no one thought they belonged, they whipped San Diego State, and then they proceeded to let Ole Miss get a 20-point lead on them before furiously fighting back, cutting that thing to 2, and then Ole Miss pulls away late. So good on Ole Miss for surviving the wreckage there at the end and getting lost into the eddy current with the canoe. They pulled it out of there, but oh boy, North Carolina acquitted themselves okay. That was not a very good basketball team this year. Hubert Davis is a good coach. They'll get good players. Calm down, everybody in North Carolina. They're fine. But one team from the ACC advances beyond the first round. That's the first time since 1975 when they allowed multiple teams from a conference to be in the thing. It's the first time the ACC hasn't advanced more than one team. But they advanced to a really good one. The SEC, 14 teams get in Only 7 made it out of that first round, though, because that's what happens with a lot of these teams. Now, you got Auburn and Texas A&M, Ole Miss. They're all good. They made it through. Florida took care of Norfolk State, no problem. They're moving on. Arkansas got into a great basketball game with Kansas. You want to see up and down the floor basketball, guys running sets, big shots. It was a good game. They did a good job. They get to take on St. John's in the round of 32. Calipari versus Rick Pitino. That's going to be some must watch if you're into this stuff. Tennessee looked good. Kentucky looked good. Troy fought them for a good while, but just outmatched in that one. Alabama, thank your friends in the striped shirts, because they really tried to blow it against Robert Morris. Now, they found a way to do it, and they did it by Nate Oates breaking the emergency glass and putting in Grant Nelson. It's like fish at a fancy restaurant. You can't serve it without the exciting white. Whatever they're giving that dude's knee, icy hot, Demerol, shot of courage, Ozempic, whatever Fairy does, calcium peptides, just keep applying it, because you got to have Grant Nelson on the floor. Without him, the engine doesn't run as well. They got to have Nelson on the floor. They grab a St. Mary's team that knocked off Vanderbilt. Again, I don't know if there's that much difference between a 7 and a 10. Vandy was up and down all year. Don't get too lost in that. It's a good game, and St. Mary's won it. They were the higher seed. They should have done it anyway. Alabama better play good too, or they're not going to make it out very far. Yeah. So the SEC, half the teams are out. They still got good teams in there, and there's some interesting matchups. I already mentioned Auburn-Creighton. Ole Miss, Iowa State ought to be a good game. Florida-UConn will be a good game, just to watch Hurley get really mad again at Todd Golden's team as they get probably run off the court. Maryland and Colorado State should be fun. Memphis without their star players, not so great. Colorado State plays good defense. Maryland, though, likes to shoot the ball really well, so that'll be fun to see. Arkansas St. John's already mentioned. Tennessee UCLA could be interesting for a bit. I don't know. Kentucky Illinois is fun. Kentucky looking hot again, finding their shot again. Still not really great on defense. Illinois, a team that plays a lot of offense too, so that could be a lot of points. Houston Gonzaga, that could be fun. I think Houston's probably going to crush them, and then McNeese Purdue, that could be a blast. Don't expect those teams in that pile. So we'll see how far Will Wade rides it with his guys. Round of 32 is going to be fun. There's some good basketball to be had, no doubt. Hey, let's not forget, though, the ladies got a great tournament going on here, too. All right, so pitching in on them in their second round. You got UCLA taking on Richmond. UCLA, number 1 overall seed. They're looking good. Richmond, good team. Ole Miss and Baylor, going to be a great matchup this weekend as well. The Oregon ladies advance over Vanderbilt. Duke looking great, as always. South Carolina, of course, dropped 108 on Tennessee Tech. Goodness gracious. Again, they feel almost inevitable. I mean, they're not completely, but they are. And we still got some other games, from their first round coming out. LSU is going to play. Michigan State still got to play. NC State's playing. So not completely fleshed out, but if getting UCLA and South Carolina, or getting like UConn and South Carolina in a championship final, would be really, really awesome to watch. If you want to watch women's basketball, have a lot of fun. We'll see how it works out when we get there, but wow. A lot of good basketball yet to be had. You still got Notre Dame and Michigan playing each other. Louisville TCU is going to be a good game. You've seen a lot of familiarity between these names, by the way. Teams that really, schools that really invest in basketball, they're starting to invest in both sides of it. It's fun to watch. But good basketball all around. We're here for the round of 32. It's a good time. We're just ready to get to that Sweet 16, though. That's what everybody likes, right? So, has everyone found True TV, by the way, in your television package? TBS, TNT, you probably know where those are. CBS, obviously. But the True TV is the wild card. Like, do you know where that is? Do you watch any of the programming? I'm curious to know. sportsballgrinder@gmail.com if you have a favorite True TV show, as it were. Let's look at a little bit of the NFL. I mean, free agency is kind of ground to a halt. Jameis Winston signs with the New York Giants. That'll at least be entertaining if you're into the reality show that is Jameis Winston, as he continues to just bounce through the league. The Giants, I said it before, I don't think that's going in a good place. And they have good ownership. And what I mean by that is it's ownership that doesn't get too knee-jerk in its reactions. But they clearly are reeling from the fact that they bet on the wrong horse, and now that horse is somewhere else, with Daniel Jones in Indianapolis, and Saquon Barkley is in Philadelphia with a new contract and a Super Bowl ring and a team that's going to have a good shot of being right back in it again next year. The Giants are in that mode of like, okay, do we try to find the splash free agent quarterback, a.k.a. Aaron Rodgers, and see if that gives us enough rope to build upon? Or with the signing of Winston, is that signaling like, hey, we're drafting a quarterback, at 3? Probably Shedeur Sanders at this point, if they don't trade back a couple spots. Get into that in a little bit. And then does that stave us and buy us time if you're the GM and the coach? I don't know. It really does. When you're already on a 3-year streak of going downward and there's a lot of promise, but there's really no delivery on it. NFL, Jerry Glanville said it best, stands for not for long if you don't win. That's how it works. I don't know. The Aaron Rodgers saga continues. I promise not to spend enormous amounts of time on this all the time. He had lunch in Pittsburgh or something like that the other day, and then he got on his phone and walked away. I don't know. I mean, does that make sense? I guess. The problem with Pittsburgh is they're never bad enough to just completely wash out. So you're either mediocre or good. So you're constantly trying to rebuild from the middle. And let's face it, they've just missed on all the offensive line draft recently. And they let their defense get old on the back end. So they got to fix that. Now, they say, hey, we got 2 great receiving options. We have an offensive coordinator that doesn't believe in throwing the ball, but we have 2 great receiving options. Now we just need the quarterback to do it. They've broken it up with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So those guys are out the door now. They re-signed Mason Rudolph. He's been in the building before, so he's a good spot starter, quality backup, but you got him in the room because he knows your culture, your organization, all that stuff, presumably so you can bring someone in. They're not going to draft anybody, you would think, where they're sitting in the draft, unless they want to reach on a guy like, and I say reach, I mean you go and grab a guy like Jackson Dart, Kyle McCord, one of those. But it's not a great quarterback draft, so I don't know. Is Aaron Rodgers the answer to your questions, Pittsburgh? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, Mike Tomlin's a great coach, but he's a mercurial sort, and then you bring in the most mercurial sort in Aaron Rodgers. Could get sideways and weird quick. We'll see. But it's going there. Rumor around the NFL is that Brock Purdy is going to get a deal worth $55 to $60 million a year with the 49ers. I previously praised the 49ers for being smart in their rebuild, but if they do that, I'm going to take back every nice thing I said. Brock Purdy's a good guy. He's a good quarterback, and he fits their system well. He's not market setting. And to treat it like that just because, quote, that's what happens, is bad management. Don't do it. We'll see. It'll play out. Maybe that's just smoke. Speaking of smoke, it's almost NFL draft time. So we're a month away, basically. You're going to see all the smoke signals now. You've already seen some. Everybody's having their pro day now. Yeah, believe very little of that. All right. If the combine is a scripted underwear Olympics for football players, the pro day is the most scripted version of that. What are you looking for? The same things that you see always when guys aren't on actual film and tape. Oh, measurables. And oh, he's so fast. And God, look at that huge arm. Or whatever. Go watch the tape. Go watch the games. And don't just watch the selected highlights of the 40-yard scramble or the deep bomb that happened in one game. Watch the whole thing. Look for the consistency. Particularly when it comes to quarterbacks. Can they throw an out route on 3rd and 10? Can they deal with the blitz and not just, go make backyard up and make football happen? That's what you're looking for. You're looking for your linemen, good feet. Do people get around them much? They have a good step. Receivers, do they have a good route tree, or are they just all speed? Running backs, do they see the hole and hit it? Running backs are probably the quickest translation into the NFL of any skill position. And receivers, it takes a couple of years. Tight ends, it usually takes a year or two. Quarterbacks, it takes, depending on what system they're in, it can take them some time. Receivers that flash early in their career, almost always paired with a quarterback who gets it and is getting it done. So don't get too lost in all that stuff. It's going to be fun to watch, though. I mean, if you're into the analysis part of the NFL offseason, you're in it now, man, because this next month is going to be wild. We'll do some fun things here coming up on that on the show. Maybe go division by division, talk about what I think the team should do in the first round, because why not? That's what we do here, right? But beyond that, hey, it's a good weekend of basketball. You got NASCAR down in Miami at Homestead. Glad the Fires are at bay enough for them to be able to run those races and that they're taking care of that fire situation anyway. Some good racing going on out there right now. It's been exciting, been fun. Hope you're peeking in, checking that out. Indy racing starting up, F1 starting up. Brad Pitt's got an F1 movie coming out that looks like Top Gun Maverick, but with F1 racing. I don't know. Looked pretty good. The trailer did, at least. But not enough people subscribe to Apple to watch it, so we'll see. I mean, maybe that'll change. I don't know. If you believe the insider numbers, go listen to The Town with Matt Bellany. You'll learn more about that. But for sports and for your casual sports talk, that's what we're here for on Sports Ball Grinder. You can find us on Facebook at Sports Ball Grinder. Find the show everywhere you listen, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're catching us. Hit subscribe, hit that like, hit the share. We appreciate all that support. And we'll be back again next week with some more fun content here. Stay on the grind.
March Madness cuts, draft picks in the mix. From backyard duels to pro-level tricks. Trivia drop slick like a half-court swish. Serving up the scoop like your favorite dish. Sports Ball Grinder, no pressure applied. Talking game-breaking plays where legends collide. For the diehards, the rookies, the clueless, and the wise. Sports served fresh, no suit, no ties.